you had a bunch of surgeries in that second office, right?
Yeah, they're usually packed.
And do you recall from a text message that around a little after 6, you were about to start a big procedure?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now, at some point in time, you hear from your mom. How do you hear from your mom?
I had a missed call from her, 1 or 2 missed calls, and then she texted me, "Call us ASAP."
And why did you miss the calls? What were you doing?
I was in surgery.
Okay. After she texted you, call her ASAP, what did you do?
I stopped what I was doing. I could see the text messages on the phone as they come in, so I knew it was important. I stopped what I was doing, and I called her right back.
When you called her back, what did she tell you?
She told me that Wendy had just called her and that Dan had been shot and that it was serious and that her and my dad are going to be going up to Tallahassee to be with her.
How did you react?
I was shocked. I said, "Is he okay? Is he going to be okay? Are the boys okay? Or Wendy's okay? Like what happened?"
And what did your mom tell you?
She said she didn't know any details, that it was really serious, and that Wendy's with the police right now, and they're questioning her.
Now, after you got off the phone with your mom, what did you do?
I went back to work.
Okay. And did you have some communications with people after that through text messages about how you were feeling?
I did.
And generally speaking, how were you feeling?
I wasn't feeling great. I was pretty upset about what I just heard.
Okay. Now, around what time, if you remember, did you leave the office?
Probably about between 8:20 and 8:30.
Okay. And again, it's a pretty far drive, correct?
Yeah.
Even at that time of night.
Yeah, there's no traffic at that time, so I could speed a little bit. But
on your car ride home, did you make phone calls?
Yes, I did.
And in particular, and we'll do it one at a time, did you speak with Katherine Magbanua?
Yes, I did.
And what did you tell Katherine Magbanua on your ride home?
I told her that my ex-brother-in-law had been shot, and it's serious. And I just told her I really didn't feel like going out tonight, and just hang out at the house if you still want to come over. She said, "No, I'm still coming to see you."
How did she seem?
She seemed normal. I mean, she seemed concerned, but nothing out of the ordinary.
Now, are you aware that after that phone call, Katherine Magbanua had to frantically go around and try to get a babysitter for her kids?
No, not at all.
No. Did you speak with your mom on the way home to your house?
Yeah, like I called my parents also from the car.
And what did you find out from your parents?
That they were getting ready to leave, and that they were heading up to they were going to head up to Tallahassee, and that they were going to probably stop up in Orlando because it's late, and they wouldn't get up there till. So they're going to spend the night in Orlando and then go up to Tallahassee.
Now, you've seen text messages in this case where there's some indication your mom says outside your house, and 20 minutes later, after that text message, you say 10 minutes. Do you recall those text messages?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Did you see your parents that evening?
No, not at all.
Okay. When your mom says outside your house, does that mean to you that she was actually at your house?
No, it meant that she was passing by my house outside it on the vicinity, seeing if I was home.
On the phone call that you had with your mom on the way home, did you discuss anything about your parents stopping at your house?
Yeah, I said, text me when you're close. If I'm home, stop by and see me, because my house is a football field length away from the exit of the turnpike.
And when they were close, were you anywhere near your house?
No, and I missed their text. I didn't get home for 40 minutes after that text came through.
When you got home, what did you do?
When I got home, I changed, took a shower. I took a shower, changed, and I played phone tag with Katie to see where she was at. I think I talked to her after I got out of the shower, and she was going to be heading over to hang out with me.
You have a text with your friend Mike that said you went to the gym. Do you have a gym? Did you go to the gym?
No.
Okay. Do you know if you worked out in your house that night?
I don't know if I've got some workout equipment in our house, so I may very well have, but I didn't go to the gym that night.
Your friend Mike wanted to have dinner with you that night, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you get to the house, you said you called Katie after your shower. Why did you call her?
To see if she was still planning on coming over and what time she was going to be there, because it was already like 10:15.
And did she come to your house that night?
Yeah, she said she was going to be leaving shortly, and I think I even said either text me or call me when you're on your way.
Did she actually come to your house that evening?
Yes, she did.
Okay. Around what time did she arrive?
She got there about 11 o'clock.
What happened when she arrived?
When she arrived to my house, she came in through the garage, entered into the kitchen from the side door like she always does, and she just looked panicked and upset. I mean, she walked straight in and gives me this big, tight hug and asked me, like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, just a horrible day." But she looked more upset than I've ever seen her. I'm like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "Just come sit down. I need to talk to you."
Where did you go?
We walked into the living room.
And what happened when you got to the living room?
We sat down on the couch, and she started to talk to me. And she said, "Listen, this is all my fault. But I had no idea anything was going to happen, but this is totally my fault. I spoke in too much detail about your family's personal problems, about your sister, Dan Markel, and the $1 million offer."
What did you say?
I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "My friend killed Dan, and he wants to be paid $1/3 million."
How did you react?
I was like, "What did you just say?" And she's like, "My friend killed Dan, and he wants you to pay $1/3 million."
What happened next?
I stood up, and I started cursing it. I'm like, "What the fuck? Are you kidding me?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, Who did this? Who's your friend that did this?" And she's like, "I don't want to say. I can't say." And I said, Who was it? And she just kept saying, "I'm not going to tell you." And I was like, was it Sigfredo? And she's like, "No, I'm not telling you." And I just walked in my bedroom and sat down on the edge of my bed.
What happened when you got in the bedroom?
She came into the bedroom, followed after me. She sat down next to me. She started telling me, like, "I'm so sorry. This is all my fault, but I didn't know any of this was going to happen." And I'm like, "Katie, I'm not going to be part of this shit. Like, I'm not going to be part of paying for a murder. This is insane." And she's like, "Look, if you don't pay in 48 hours, they will kill you." And I said, "Katie, I feel like I'm getting extorted now."
How did she respond to that?
She got really mad at me. She got angry, and she's like, "Look, I'm not extorting you." She's like, "I got dragged into this the same way you got dragged into this." She's like, "It's my fault for running my mouth the way I did, but I'm not extorting you. Like, I'm trying to help you." So she's like, she goes, "What are you going to do? You're going to go to the police?" She goes, "You go to the police, they'll kill you."
Did she tell you that they would just kill you, or they would also kill other people?
She said he'd come after you, he'd come after the family. Like, Charlie, you don't have a choice. Just pay the money. You said you had the cash. You said you were going to pay a third. Like, just do it. Like, I'm trying to help you out.
What did you do then?
I said, Katie, I don't have $350,000 in cash. And she's like, you said you did. And I was like, no, I cash is, and I can write a check for $350,000. I don't need to take out a loan. And she's like, well, you have a ton of money in your safe. And I said, Katie, I don't have that much in my safe. I do have a lot. And I said, come, take a look. And I walked over to my safe. I opened it up. And I'm like, here, take a look. And I took it out in piles and put it on the dresser next to us. And I said, go ahead and count. I go, that's not $350,000.
And did she count it?
Yes, she did.
How much money did she count?
$138,000.
So it wasn't $100,000. It was $138,000.
Correct.
What did she do with $138,000?
She put it in her. She had a big purse. She put it in her purse, and she asked me. She goes, how can you get the rest? And I'm like, hey, that's all the cash I've saved up from forever. And she said, can you go to your parents and get it? And I was like, if I go to my parents, my dad will go to the cops in a second. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to stop my dad from going to the police. Like, I could never say anything to him.
What happened next? She
asked me, she said, well, can you pay like $3,000 a month? And I said, yeah, I can do that.
Now, at this point in time, did you have any idea that she was part of the extortion?
No. She kept saying it was all her fault and that she didn't know any of this was going to happen. And she was upset.
What did she do next?
She took her purse, her keys, and her phone, and she's like, I'm going to go call my friend and see if this works for him, and I'm going to try to help you out. And she walked out of the house, and my bedroom was right next to the front door. She walked out of my bedroom outside of the front door and closed the door behind her.
When she went out of the house, what did you do?
I just paced around my house, and I remember sitting in the living room. I got a wood coffee table, and I was just sitting on the coffee table just in shock, thinking, what the fuck just happened?
What happened when she came back in the house?
She came in the house, and she was being the good guy and telling me that she's going to look out after me, and she's so sorry this happened. It's the same thing she was saying beforehand, and that she was going to make sure that nobody pays me a visit. And she's like, I spoke to him. You can pay $3,000 a month, or you can pay the rest off. She goes, but the $3,000 a month you're paying doesn't go towards the balance.
What did you do after she told you that?
I just said fine, and I walked downstairs into the kitchen, and I was shaking, and I took a bar of Xanax.
Where did you go?
And I walked outside from the kitchen through the sliders into the backyard. I closed the sliding glass door behind me. I think she got the picture. I wanted to be alone. And I just sat outside behind my house for a while.
Now, when you came back into the house, what was she like?
She was just apologizing and just telling me that her friend's crazy and she's so sorry, and she ran her mouth too much about everything and about the $1 million offer. And she was telling me that she was going to protect me.
Did she take a Xanax as well?
I don't know if she did. She may have, but I didn't give her one.
Did she spend the night that night?
She did sleep over that night.
Now, why didn't you kick her out?
I was in the state of shock, and I didn't think she had anything to do with it. I didn't even want to believe that she had anything to do with it.
When you came back in the house, what happened to you next?
The Xanax was really starting to set in. It's probably about a half hour I was outside. I remember going into the bedroom and sitting down. I sent the text to my parents to see if they were up in Orlando yet or where they were. And then I laid down in bed, and I passed out pretty soon after that.
The next morning, when did she leave?
She left about 8:30 in the morning.
And how was she in the morning? How was she acting?
She was apologizing and telling me how sorry she is, and she was blaming herself and saying it's all my fault for running my mouth. and telling my friend about this. And she was just telling me that she was going to protect me and that I wasn't going to get a visit from anybody.
What did she tell you anything in particular before she left the house?
Yeah, she told me, whatever you do, she said, please don't tell anybody about what happened. Like, don't tell anybody about this. Never talk about this. Never talk about it on the phone. She said, never call me up and start talking about this. And the last thing she said to me is like, can we just pretend like this never even happened?
She leaves the house, and we're going to get into specifics, but that day, July 19th, where do you go?
I don't leave the house. I was home all day.
What were you thinking and what were you doing when you were home on the 19th?
I was sleeping a bunch. I think I took probably some more Xanax, just trying to relax, and I was just real upset.
That morning, did you speak with your parents and with Wendy Adelson?
I did. I talked to my parents that morning.
And what did you find out?
I found out that Dan had died.
And why did you call Wendy Adelson?
Because that was the first call I called after my parents told me that, to see how she was, see how the boys were.
Now, you're home alone the entire day of the 19th. Did you think about going to the police?
I thought about it, but I thought I'm going to get killed if I go to the police. It's not going to bring Dan back. It just seemed like a bad idea.
Over the days following, did you continue to go back and forth about whether to go to the police or not?
Every time I thought about it, I thought through what could happen to me, what would be the benefit versus the pros versus the cons.